work and I toil, when I sow in the soil I reap. I plant and I build and I tend to the fields and I sleep. Wealth I have gained, I've acquired some fame, but I grieve. Adventures I seek, I indulge in all things, but I still weep.
Hello and welcome to the fifth and final day of exploring the themes found in the book of Ecclesiastes, as it has been throughout the week. The reading today shall be delivered in the terrific tones of Mr. John Simmons. Thank you for your input this week, John. Greatly appreciated.
Life and death. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come and the years approach, when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars grow dark and the clouds return after the rain. When the keepers of the house tremble and the strong men stoop. When the grinders cease because they are few and those looking through the windows grow dim. When the doors to the street are closed and the sound of grinding fades. When men rise up at the sound of birds, but all their songs grow faint. When men are afraid of heights and of dangers in the streets. When the almond tree blossoms and the grasshopper drags himself along, a desire no longer is stirred. Then man goes to his eternal home, and mourners go about the streets. Remember him before the silver cord is severed or the golden bowl is broken, before the pitcher is shattered at the spring or the wheel broken at the well, and the dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Everything is meaningless.
A question. However old you are, how do you feel about getting older? You may or may not agree, but I think that it would be fair to say that the book of Ecclesiastes has a fairly dark and despairing tone. However, I do think that it ends on a pretty good note. At the beginning of the passage John has just read for us, the teacher encourages young people to think about the Creator whilst they are still young, and I think that this is great counsel. Being brought up in a religious home, I have thought about God and talked to God for pretty much as long as I can remember. I had what I would still consider to be a very powerful and genuine experience of God in my early teens. I would say that remembering the Creator in the days of my youth stood me in good stead for the rest of my life, and probably saved me from getting into a whole lot of trouble I might have otherwise got into. Now, it hasn't saved me from all trouble. It certainly hasn't answered all of my questions, but nevertheless, I'm grateful for it. I think that it set me on a good path. But as you may know by now, the author of Ecclesiastes cannot go too long without going back to something depressing, and so youth is contrasted with age, as the teacher portrays the physical plight of the very elderly in frank but poetic terms. This plight was noted by the American comedian, actress and author Phyllis Diller, who once quipped, "I'm at that age where my back goes out more than I do." But it's perhaps because the silver cord will be severed and the golden bowl broken that the teacher, throughout Ecclesiastes, is encouraging people to make the most of life. And perhaps that's not a bad lesson to take on board. However, the final word in Ecclesiastes does not go to the teacher, but to the author, who presents us with a brief kind of foreword at the beginning of the book and also presents the epilogue at the end. And it is with the author's words and his slightly different conclusions to those of the teacher that I will round up the devotions for this week. Not only was the teacher wise, but he also imparted knowledge to the people. He pondered and searched out and set in order many proverbs. The teacher searched to find just the right words, and what he wrote was upright and true. The words of the wise are like goads. They're collected sayings like firmly embedded nails given by one shepherd. Be warned, my son, of anything in addition to them. Of making many books, there is no end, and much study wearies the body. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil.
I work and I toil when I sow in the soil I reap. I plant and I build and I tend to the fields and I sleep. Wealth I have gained, I've acquired some fame, but I grieve. Adventures I seek, I indulge in all things, but I still weep. All is vanity, as far as I can see. All is vanity. Now it's clear to me that generations come and generations go. The young never consider that they will be old. The sun rises and falls as the wind blows. Again and again as history unfolds. And if I chase the wind, if I follow the sun, I discover the place that I started from. If the pleasures I seek are just of my flesh, I am left to conclude all is meaningless. Go and generations go, for now I am young, but soon I'll be old. The sun rises and falls as the wind blows. Again and again and again and again and again. And if I chase the wind, if I follow